Traditional oil-based fuels already contain additives which limit CO2 emissions. But today, EU legislation aims to promote greater use of biofuels. The first generation already exists, produced from vegetable matter such as rapeseed oil and wheat. But these biofuels are still expensive. They compete with food production and raise some concerns about the environment. Shell in Germany is developing second-generation biofuels in partnership with Koren, a world leader in the field.
Our partnership with Koren is to develop what we call biomass to liquid fuel. This takes wood chips, converts it into gas, and then uses a Shell proprietary process to turn that into a high-quality liquid fuel that is very suitable for use in today's diesel engines.
Wood waste is a renewable resource. It's cheap and it's non-food. These second-generation biofuels will deliver up to 90% of CO2 emission savings compared to fossil fuels, but it'll take another 5 years before they're marketed on a large scale. Another solution to cut the emissions from transport is to reduce the use of cars and road transport in general. This is especially important in urban areas which are responsible for approximately 40% of greenhouse gas emissions, caused mainly by private vehicles. The city of Nantes in France has around 780,000 inhabitants. Its non-polluting public transport development policy is one of the most efficient in Europe. It began at the right time, 25 years ago, when the population was becoming increasingly mobile. The 1980s saw the start of dynamic growth in the area, more people, more jobs, a greater need for mobility, and at that time the politicians had a choice, either continue doing what had been done in previous decades to develop access for cars, or on the contrary to come up with and establish an alternative policy. The choice was made. The first tram line came into service in 1985. Today, a fleet of more than 80 trams and 350 buses serves the entire urban area. To limit the access of private cars to the city centre, 18 parking lots were created with direct access to the centre by bus. The roads gave priority to public transport at the expense of automobiles. The busway line, which came on stream in 2006, confirms the strategy applied by the company operating the network. In the month after the busway came into service, the traditional customer base started using it, and the parking lots automatically filled up. Today, 25% of passengers on the busway used to take their car on the same journey, so the reaction has been very positive. With the conversion of the bus fleet to natural gas, a new filling station was constructed. European strategy aims to encourage public transport which emits less and is better organized, but it will take time to change people's habits. At the beginning, we must admit it was difficult because we had to explain that we were changing policy, developing alternatives to cars and trying to make it easier to use other methods of transport than the car. At the beginning, people weren't used to it. Today, the situation's completely reversed. Today, it's the people who are demanding new infrastructures. They want to have the same advantages as other neighborhoods. It's clear that we're seeing changing practices, and it's happening increasingly quickly. Businesses have an important role to play in the strategy. To encourage staff to use public transport, Nantes has developed a mobility plan to which everyone is committed: the city, the transport company and local enterprises. Companies will subsidize the purchase of tickets for their employees, encouraging the development of inner-city transportation. Semitan will study how to serve particular companies and grant reductions on ticket prices. Today, we have 47,000 employees involved in this initiative. A new railway line between Nantes and neighbouring communities has also been opened to encourage workers to leave their cars at home. The waterways provide another alternative. Shuttles have been established between the south of the Loire and the city centre. They connect with electric minibus lines. The quality and diversity offered to the travelling public has allowed public transport to win market share. In 2010, they're expecting 120 million trips by public transport, representing a 20% increase. Bicycle traffic is also a strong element in the city's mobility policy. There are 360 kilometres of cycle tracks at the moment, and there'll be 560 kilometres by 2010. By this date, Nantes is hoping to have struck a balance between the use of private cars and other methods of transport. But from an environmental protection point of view, the results are already being felt. In each neighbourhood where we've invested massively by developing alternative solutions to the use of private cars, we've been able to observe a reduction of approximately 20% in CO2 emissions over 5 years, mainly linked to the fact that people, instead of systematically using their car, now use other methods, notably public transport. The reduction in greenhouse gas emissions caused by transport concerns everyone: industry, public authorities and citizens. The comprehensive approach will be necessary to achieve Europe's ambitious targets.